complex background. When I think about my childhood, I don't really see a memory filled with things that children do. I see a memory filled with things that adults do simply because of the responsibilities that I had as a child. I didn't have any parental responsibilities, but I remember when I was around 10, I started a program where I was a peer counselor. So what I had to do is counsel people. So that's the type of responsibility that I had. I had to carry a lot of people's emotional burdens. But also there's one thing that I always talk about, and I think it's important that we talk about it, and it's the abuse that I suffered when I was a little girl. Because growing up, there's various instances where I was sexually violated by different people. I don't talk about all of them because some of them are very triggering, but some that I speak about are ones that I've dealt with or that I'm currently dealing with. And I remember one specifically at a certain place where people used to hire rooms where my grandparents used to stay. And because of that, my grandparents used to have a shabin, and so a lot of men would come in and out. And I was practically the only girl around because all my cousins were male. So you'd find that I remember one incident where a man would take advantage of me, things like they would force me to touch their private parts. And there are various other incidences as well that I recall where I was penetrated, in my young age. But I didn't tell a lot of people about it. I kept it in me because there's something about when something happens to you as a kid, you blame yourself. So for a very long time, I blamed myself. And I think it was specifically the words that the abusers used. Things like, if you tell your parents, we'll kill you. If you tell your parents, we'll say that you wanted it. And as a young girl, when you hear things like that, you literally believe that it's your fault. So I didn't tell a lot of people. I lived with those scars for a very, very long time until I had to confront them when I started traveling around South Africa. And when I was traveling, as I said, I've been doing peer counseling work. And so when I was 18, I had to travel around the country. And one of the works that we had to do in the schools was to offer counseling. And I remember one specific girl came to me and she wanted to talk to me about her issues. And then she spoke about her abuse and the sexual violation that she had suffered. And I think that is when I had to confront it within me, because here I was meant to offer some support to this girl, but there I was, dealing or cooped up with these wounds. And that was my first step to actually confronting what happened to me. But not to go a lot into it. I only told my family when I was 21, and it's been a journey. I'm 33 now, and some stuff are still painful. And I think that's why it's important for us not to force anyone to heal. It's important that we talk about it, and we try and break the silence, because a lot of women are living with these wounds and the abuse in their lives. So it's important for us to break the silence, but also equally it's important for us to respect the person and allow them to deal with the past or whatever it is that they're going through in their time, and not force them to heal, because that's something that I tried while growing up. I forced myself to heal, and I think it was an influence from the church, because the church constantly tells you have to forgive and you have to heal, and you can miss working on your issues because you're just so quick to heal.
I would say probably not. If it was, we wouldn't be having this discussion, would we? But given that, things are looking slightly optimistic, given that I've got 4 men here, young men, who are interviewing another man, which means that we are probably starting to become a little bit more aware of what some of the issues are, that we're part of the cause, if not the cause in itself. Yeah.
The other day I was watching Checkpoint, and the journalist went to the police station, and she pretended like she is a rape victim, and they expected her to make a statement right in front of other men, and like it was like right in the open. They didn't really care. Nobody cares. Yeah.
Yes, I definitely think so. Yeah, I mean, I think this cry has kind of been going on for an incredibly long time, and only in recent times is it kind of being heard, and you see this through action that women are doing actually. So definitely. But we shouldn't expect any differently, because this is how patriarchy works.
I think often the cry of women is muffled by the need to one-up them by saying, oh, but this happens too, or that happens too, or this happens too. So it takes away from the actual issue and then becomes a petty kind of argument between men and women, who has it worse kind of thing, as opposed to dealing with the actual problem, which is like the statistics, the 1 in 3 statistics, you know, the 50% of femicide is by intimate partner statistics. Like, no one wants to hear that. They just want to fight with each other about who has it worse. So I think the cries are heard occasionally, but not always.
Is the cry of women falling on deaf ears? I think in the past it has fallen on deaf ears, but I feel like right now, with the rise of social media, more and more people are aware of what women are going through, the abuses that women are experiencing in society, and a lot of men and women have taken a stand against the violence. So I think the cry of women is, so women are being heard, but not as much as they should be heard. So yeah.
I feel like in today's society, you've got people who are kind of raised with this mentality of women are inferior, and then they grow up and then suddenly there's these people challenging this idea that they've grown up with, and then they get kind of angry and offended, which is stupid, but I guess that's just the way they were brought up, which doesn't make it okay at all. So yeah, I think it's very much so a combination of the two. For some people it's being heard, and for others it's not. I think with social media, it's definitely making things a lot more accessible for people to see, to hear, to listen. But contrary to that, you've still got social media is kind of also a combination of the two. So you've got people who are accepting it and seeing it for what it is and hearing this anger, and then you've got people who are responding to the anger with anger. So yeah.
So we live in a country where statistics are super high in terms of femicide. When I say femicide, I mean like women who are murdered by their partners, people who are close to them. We live in a country where violence is extremely high, where correctional services, which are previously known as prisons, are full, you know, and that should tell us something, that we live in a very violent society, that almost you could think that it's anti-women, because the amount of violence that we see on a daily basis. I mean, it's 2017, and already this year, every single day, we hear of an account of a woman either being raped, murdered, and this is not new. This is not new. It's something that's been going on for a long time. It's something that in my mom's generation, they were dealing with it. In my grandmother's generation, they were dealing with it. You can actually say there is a war raged against women with the amount of violence there is. I mean, just look at the hate, you know, the hate crimes. And when I say hate crimes, I mean when people go out and kill lesbian women, because according to society, if you're lesbian, you need to be corrected. So there are people who actually go and commit such hideous crimes. So for me, with such escalating statistics, you have to ask yourself, do we take this scourge seriously? And is there stuff being done that puts the urgency, that actually shows that these issues are urgent? So I'll make an example for you. The rand drops. There are quick reactions from the community to have protests against the economy dropping, and because the economy is dropping and we need to save it. Every single year there are economic conferences, there are conferences to save the climate, but I have never in my time seen the urgency when it comes to violence against women and children, or violence in society.
Hi, I'm Lebo. So I am asked the question of why am I afraid of being a woman in this day and age? So I'm technically afraid of being a woman in this day and age because men of today are trash. Like yes, they've been saying it, they trash, but they really are. You can't go outside or walk down the road without thinking if the next car is gonna push me or shove me and actually kidnap me and kill me. Out of all of these things that we've been saying. And you can't even go out at a club with your friends without being paranoid that something is gonna happen. So in this day and age, I feel like it's very scary being a woman. You experience a lot of things. Our rape cases are high. Like people just don't respect us.
That's been happening in South Africa. Just a couple of days ago, I was looking at stats and it showed that 60 women were killed, and it doesn't end there because 75% of these women were killed by their partners. I live every day with fear because anything could happen. It could be me tomorrow. I keep asking myself, am I next? I feel like we're being deprived of our freedom of expression. We cannot express how we feel through dressing because I cannot reveal certain things. I cannot feel sexy in a certain attire because I keep asking myself, who is looking at me, who is running after me, who is after me? Am I next? Am I going to be raped, killed, and are my body parts going to get sold after that?
If there's one thing I hate in society is patriarchy. So patriarchy is a social system that kind of gives men a bit of esteem about themselves, that puts the man above on the hierarchical scale, above a woman, above children. Originally, the word patriarchy means the rule of the father, but it's extended to say a society that's ruled by men. So let me say that. So I hate patriarchy, and I think notions such as patriarchy are perpetuated by structures such as culture, such as religion. And these structures are identity structures, meaning we have to belong to them. And so they construct certain things in society. So they construct the role of men, they construct gender, they construct the ways in which we interact with each other. And so what we must do in order for us to be accepted within these identities is that we must fall within their structures. So imagine a box is the structure. So you have to fall right within the structure. And the minute you think outside of the box, then you are actually challenging your identity. Because if you say you belong to a certain culture, if you say you belong to a certain religion, even a political party, you're saying that you espouse certain ideals that that bloc believes in. So at the moment, things like culture, things like religion, things like political identities, they construct certain ways that we relate to each other. And one of the ways is that it has put men in a certain position, and it has said to men that these are your roles and this is who you must be. And so there is no other way to imagine the way we can exist outside of these structures. So when women decide to say, actually, hold on, these structures are very oppressive, then people can't deal with it because now you're challenging people's identity.
Look, the term is loaded and heavy, but if you think of the political context that it comes from, we need to actually take responsibilities for 20,000 years of patriarchal privileges that we've got, and it's about time that somebody gave it to us and said, this is what you've been doing for all this time.
Do I think all men are trash? Yes, I do, because as long as all of the problems women face in today's society that are caused by men, as they continue to prevail, we are trash for not controlling those problems amongst ourselves and correcting each other.
I think men can take a stand in terms of helping each other fix our mindsets. I think some of the problems come in when men make jokes that are said in humor but end up infiltrating the beliefs of people, and as a result, men specifically, start like taking on those beliefs, and you see behaviors like inappropriate comments, groping, that sort of thing. So I think we can start by the kinds of dialogues we have as men on our own, and how we help our fellow brothers.
And
Yeah.
react to jokes and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
So, I wrote a book, right? And the title is Misbehave, Missbehave. In the book, I detail a journey, my journey in life in terms of dealing with autonomy, dealing with just making decisions for yourself and going out of the confines of what society expects to you. It also reads as a love letter to black women. So I would literally advise black women all over to get the copy of the book. Yes, I'm advertising my book, but I also think when I wrote it, I was literally writing a love letter to black women. The premise of this book is Laura Thatcher Olney's quote where she says, well-behaved women seldom make history. And what do I mean by well-behaved women? To behave well is to actually forget about yourself, because this is how society teaches women that you don't take care of yourself, you take care of everyone first, that you're strong, blah, blah, blah. So to misbehave means to actually behave outside the confines of society, to decide who you want to be. If you don't want to get married, it's okay. If you don't want to cook, it's okay. If you don't want Globolo to be paid for you, it's okay. You can do whatever it is that you want to do. Just like, we live in a society where men are allowed to do what they want to do. So not that we are trying to be like men, but we are trying to be liberated. And it's important for us to know that our liberation comes at a place where you're making decisions for yourself, and not because you're scared of some system that is saying that if you don't behave this way, you're going to get punished. Then that is no way to live. So yeah, let's misbehave.